How happy is the blameless vessel's lot, the world forgetting by the world forgot. Eternal sunshine of a spotless mind, each prayer accepted and each wish resigned.
There's a joke among psychologists that goes something like this. A hypochondriac walks into a doctor's office and says, "I'm terrified of diseases I don't even have." The doctor says, "Relax, we'll find something." Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind came out in 2004, and the fact that it still feels relevant 22 years later, despite being a romantic sci fi, still kind of amazes me. I watched it for the first time in my teenage years, back when my only keyword for finding a good movie was literally the word mindfuck. I rewatched it last week, and honestly, it might be one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen. It's actually wild that the movie almost didn't exist. Charlie Kaufman reportedly threw away the script after Memento came out in 2001 because he thought the ideas were too similar. Imagine that. Somewhere in another timeline, Kaufman just shrugs, leaves the script in a drawer, and one of the most devastating films about love simply never happens. The title comes from a line in Alexander Pope's poem, Eloisa to Abelard. The spotless mind is a strange kind of paradise. Innocence through forgetting, bliss through ignorance, peace that arrives because the memory of pain simply disappeared. It's a beautiful idea, and also a slightly terrifying one. I love how the film opens. Right from the start, we're introduced with Joel in a handheld shot. The camera is shaking, and there's this unease that we, as an audience, are not quite sure about. The colors feel drained out of the world. Everything looks like winter, even indoors. That's pretty much our introduction to Joel. Nothing about him screams protagonist. He's awkward, quiet, a little emotionally locked behind his own ribs. And that's when we meet Clementine. Bright blue hair, orange hoodie, morning coffee spiked with liquor. Opposites attract. Cinema loves that, but a lot of video essays about this film tend to simplify Clementine into the manic pixie dream girl, the chaotic free spirit whose job is to rescue the quiet sad guy from his boring life. The trope became famous after this film, but it also kind of misses the point. Clementine is Joel's equal, a mirror if you will. She's just louder about her damage. Underneath the impulsiveness and neon hair dye is someone just as scared of being abandoned, misunderstood, and eventually forgotten, which is the theme of the movie.
Oh, I'm lost. I'm scared. I feel like I'm disappearing. My skin's coming off. I'm getting old. Nothing makes any sense to me.
You're not getting old.
Nothing makes any sense.
Which brings us to the real science fiction element of the movie. From the very conception of this film, Kaufman has said that he always wanted the film to lean less towards the sci-fi-ness of the movie and be more close to the human element. He did not want to give any explanations about how all this memory erasure is possible or stuff like that. He just wanted to use this as a tool to explore the characters in a deeper way. These kind of films now have a separate genre and are known as soft sci-fis. So the process is simple. A small company called Lacuna Inc. offers a procedure that can erase a specific person from your memory, a technological amnesia. Bring their belongings, the technicians map your brain while you sleep and delete every memory connected to them. Problem solved. At least that's the promise. Joel signs up for the procedure after discovering that Clementine has already erased him from her memory. The heartbreak is too much. He gathers every object connected to her and gives them away. And the middle section of the film is essentially Joel's mind collapsing in real time. As the technicians begin the procedure, Joel is forced to relive every memory he has of Clementine, except they disappear one by one. Conversations blink out of existence mid-sentence. Entire environments begin to crumble. What's fascinating about this sequence is the order in which the memories disappear. The procedure starts with the most recent ones, the resentment that pushed them apart in the first place. And Joel seems almost relieved. Of course he is. Those are the painful ones. But as the process continues, the memories begin to move backwards, back to the happier moments. And suddenly Joel realizes he doesn't want to lose these.
Please let me keep this memory. Just this one.
The thing about memories is that they don't exist in isolation. The same relationship that gave you heartbreak also gave you laughter. You can't erase one without touching the other. Which is why Joel tries to hide Clementine inside other memories, inside embarrassing scenes from his past that has nothing to do with her. You know what they say. We are the sum total of our experiences. Our past isn't a stack of photographs sitting neatly behind us, which makes Lacuna's promise fundamentally flawed. Because removing a person from your memory doesn't remove their influence on who you've become. And the film quietly demonstrates this through the side characters as well. Patrick, one of Lacuna's technicians, begins dating Clementine after her procedure. But he doesn't really know how to connect with her, so he cheats. He uses Joel's memories. He gives her Joel's gifts. He even recycles the same romantic lines Joel once used. Clementine doesn't recognize these words, of course, but something about them feels wrong, because memory isn't just about recollection, which is fascinating from a psychological perspective, because there's also something called implicit memory, the emotional imprint of experiences that shape our instincts even when we can't consciously remember the event. In other words, the brain forgets the story, but the body remembers the feeling. And the film pushes this idea even further in one of its most beautiful scenes. Near the end of Joel's erasure, only one memory of Clementine remains: the day they met at the beach in Montauk. Inside this collapsing memory, Clementine becomes strangely aware that Joel is losing her, so she asks him to stay. But in the real version of the memory, Joel had left, too shy, too afraid of connection. Now, inside this dying memory, he stays.
Jolie?
What if you stay this time?
I walked out the door. There's no memory left.
Come back and make up a goodbye at least. Let's pretend we had one.
Clementine asks him to meet her in Montauk, but that moment never actually happened. It only exists inside Joel's collapsing subconscious while his memories are being erased. And yet, the next morning, Joel wakes up with a strange urge to skip work and go to Montauk. He can't explain it. He doesn't remember Clementine, but something inside him pulls him there anyway. Friedrich Nietzsche calls us artists of forgetting. We constantly edit our past to make life easier to live. But as Joel and Clementine find out, you can't outrun your own soul. They meet again as strangers, and they're drawn to each other for the exact same reasons they were the first time. By the end, they hear the tapes. They hear their past selves describing everything they eventually came to hate about each other. They're faced with a choice: walk away now and stay spotless, or try again, knowing it'll probably end in a wreck. They choose the wreck. They say, okay, because they realize that a spotless mind isn't a cure. It's just a reset button on a loop you're destined to play anyway. Which brings us back to that joke. The hypochondriac, terrified of a disease he doesn't have yet. The doctor promising him, relax, we'll find something. Maybe that doctor isn't being cruel. Maybe he's just being honest. We treat heartbreak like a sickness. We treat our past mistakes like symptoms we need to cure so we can finally be healthy. But the problem with forgetting is that we think the pain is the disease. It's not. The pain is the proof that we're alive. You can try to protect yourself from every possible disease, but as long as you're searching for connection, life will always find something. It'll find a new reason to go to Montauk. It'll find a new person who makes you feel seen. And eventually, it'll find a new way to break your heart. We don't need to be cured. We just need to be okay with the fact that we're going to keep making the same beautiful mistakes over and over again, because those memories are the only proof that we actually showed up. You can start over as much as you want, but you're still you. You're probably going to end up in Montauk eventually. Might as well enjoy the ride. I guess I'll see you at the movies.